Since we've already done 5 of these on section 4.6, I just picked 3 of these 4 that we're going to do, so I'm not going to do number 6 above. I'm just going to do 7, 8, and 9. And if I was you, I would shut off the video and try doing all 3 of these, because like I said, you're not going to see anything more than this on the test. There will be these all over the place. So really important that you practice on them and make sure you're very good with them. So I would turn off the video and try these 3. They're all relatively simple. This one has an extra step at the beginning, but nothing tricky that won't be on the test. So these would be good to practice on. And then come back and check them with me. So for number 7, we're looking for factors of 36 that subtract, remember we read backwards, subtract to 5. And there isn't a GCF, so that means we can jump right in and start doing the AC method. So factors of 36 that subtract to 5. 1 and 36, does that subtract to 5? No. 2 and 18, does that subtract to 5? No. 3 and 12, does that subtract to 5? No. 4 and 9, ding, 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 that does subtract to 12. So now we have to do our signs. Does subtract to 12. I can't believe I just said that. 4 and 9, that subtracts to 5. So now we have to do our signs. This says the signs will be different because the only way to get a negative number is a positive times a negative. And this says make sure the larger number's plus. So 9's going to be plus, 4 minus. So now we're ready to do our substitution. So remember, we're going to take the 5x out and plug in these 2. And I like to name my negative first, which it is first here. So I'm just going to put it in just like I see it. 6x squared minus 4x plus 9x and then minus 6. So I haven't done anything illegal because 9 minus 4 still gives me positive 5x. So we're all good. I just did a substitution, but it was a exact value for an exact value. So the minute I get it turned into 4 terms, I immediately go, oh, only way I know how to factor 4 terms is grouping. So I take a 2 out and an x to the first, because I always take the smallest exponent. So 2x, 2x, and I get 6 divided by 2 is 3. Exponents subtract, so x to the first minus, there the x's cancel, so I get 2. Then I bring that plus sign down. GCF here is 3. Divide each of these by 3, and no x is common, so I can't do that, and I get 3x minus 2. And then I celebrate because my parentheses match, so I know I'm doing it correctly. So I take out that matching binomial, which is considered my third GCF, and then I write what's left in the second parentheses. Done. And then I can check it. 6x squared. Yep. 9x minus 9x minus 4x is 5x. Boom. And negative 6. Yes. So I can walk away with 100% certainty that I got that right because I foiled it and I got the answer back. And you can do that with every single factoring problem on your test. I think 19, maybe 19 out of 25 problems are factoring. So that means 19 out of 25. All you have to do is FOIL to check it. Okay, let's try another one. So on number 8, I'm hoping the first thing you noticed is, oh, I can't have a negative out in front. So I need to look for a GCF. Is there anything common besides -1? No. So I pull that -1 out in front. Remember how I said on AC method, put it outside a bracket so you don't accidentally incorporate it into your AC method. So when I take a -1 out, I get positive 6a squared, positive 25a, and positive 25. So everything changed signs because I divided by -1. So now I see that this is an AC problem because my leading coefficient's not 1. So I'm going to keep my -1 outside. I'm going to do factors of 6 times 25. What would that be? 150? So I'm looking for factors of 150 that add. So read the problem backwards. Factors 150 that add to 25. So 1 and 150, no, that doesn't add to 25. 2 and 75, nope, that doesn't add to 25. 3 times 50, no, that doesn't add to 25. 4 doesn't go into it, 5 does. 5 and 30, ooh, we're getting closer. That adds to 35, but not 25. Anytime 2 and 3 both go into another, 6 does. So then you can take your calculator and see how many times. So 150 divided by 6 is 25. So 25 plus 6 is 31. No, that doesn't add to 25. 7 doesn't go into it. 8 doesn't because 4 doesn't. 9 doesn't. 10. 10 goes in 15 times. Oh, finally, I hit the jackpot. So 10 and 15 add to 25. 10 times 15 multiply to 150. And we have all plus signs here, so that means it's all plus signs inside. So then I expand. So I take the 25a out, and I'm going to put those two in its place. So 6a squared plus 10a plus 15a plus 25. And now I have my 4 terms, and I'm just going to verify that these two give me that back, which they do. So I'm ready to do my grouping, which is the only thing I know how to do with 4 terms. So the -1 keeps hanging outside. It never becomes a part of any of this. It just stays outside in front of the answer. So here we have a 2 and an a common. And so that gives us 3a to the first plus 5. Here we have a 5 common. When we divide each of these by 5, we have 3a plus 5. And then we go, yes, our parentheses match. So that's going to be our third GCF. So we take the 1 out. So we're done with that. Then we take the GCF out, 3a plus 5. Then we're done with that. And then we write what's left, 2a plus 5. And that would be my answer. And I do have one on the test that has a GCF, but it's a little bit more like the one that we highlighted on the last page. So this one's a good one to study too. Okay, last one. And again, we're not going to do this stuff in the bottom because I don't believe that you need to memorize a bunch of formulas when you can work them out on your own and without memorizing all that, because most students don't remember when it comes time for a test anyway. So let's just finish this one and then we can move on to the next page. So first we look and see, is there a GCF? Is there something common to all three terms? Nope. So then that tells us to do AC. So we're looking for factors of 45. Read the problem backwards, then add to 18. And I always write that down because then that just reminds me what I'm looking for when I write my numbers. So 1 and 45, I say to myself, does that add to 18? No. 2 doesn't go into a number that ends in 5. 3 and 15, does that add to 18? Yes. So then I know to stop rather than list all the factors of the number. I just keep checking each step of the way. Okay, now we have to do our signs. So anytime we get a positive, that means we're multiplying a positive times a positive or a negative times a negative. So that tells me our signs are the same. This tells me they're both going to be negative. So I go over here, same, both negative. So this will be one of those times when I can't not have a negative GCF because both of them are negative. So then we do 5x squared. We're taking this out, and you can see negative 3 plus negative 15 is negative 18. So negative 3, use the variable x, minus 15x plus 9. And now that we have it turned into 4 terms, we know grouping's our only answer. So my first GCF is just x, it looks like, because nothing goes into 3 and 5, but we have the x common. So divide by x, we get 5x minus 3. So 5 divided by 1, 5, 2 minus 1, x to the first. Here the x's cancel. So now I do need to be careful. This tells me my next GCF is negative. So I need to take out negative, and what's common? 3. And this is the part where you need to be careful. That means you're dividing by negative 3, not just by 3. If you divide by 3, your signs aren't going to match in parentheses. So that tells me the GCF's negative, and then 3 is common, so I have negative 3 underneath. So negative divided by negative, positive 5x, positive divided by negative, negative 3. And then I look at my parentheses and go, yay, my parentheses match, I'm doing it right. So I pull out that GCF, which is now a binomial GCF, and then in the second parentheses, write what's left, x minus 3. Since this is the last one on the page, let's go ahead and check it. So 5x squared, there it is, minus 15x, inner minus 3x, negative 18x, positive 9. Boom. So I can walk away and know for a fact that I have this one correct. Like I said, 19 out of 25 problems you can do just what I did to check. Like I said, we're not going to do that because it's just memorizing a bunch of formulas. So let's go ahead and move on to page 8. So this is more AC, but these are special because you'll notice that the first term is a perfect square, which means I can take the square root of it. Some number times itself gives me that 3x times 3x. And the last term's a perfect square. to